to As the Story Grows. I'm Brian Patton. Today we welcome Joe and Derron from Reconciler to the podcast. Reconciler released Art for Art's Sake last Friday on Smartpunk Records. The guys talk about unknowingly being a part of the same scene, giving up a solo project to start Reconciler, surviving COVID and label drama, finding joy, and more. Every week, I release 2 episodes of As the Story Grows, so make sure you're subscribed on your favorite podcast platform and never miss an episode. Over on Patreon this week, I shared the State of the Podcast After Dark episode. $3 a month gets you that episode, as well as early access to every episode of the podcast. Patreon.com/asthestorygrows. Or a link will be in the show notes, as well as links to our Discord server and mailing list. Enjoy getting to know Reconciler. It's a nice setup behind you, Joe.
Oh, thanks. This is my little upstairs hideaway in my house.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Mine's a little boring today because I'm at work. So
yeah, it's a very minimalist start that you have behind you, Derron.
If you want, I can do the. I got some dry erase markers. I can draw some graphics along the way.
Are you a teacher?
I'm sorry.
Are you a teacher?
No.
No. Very emphatic there.
Nor am I an artist.
Good times. Welcome. Let's dive it. You guys are both in Atlanta or in the Atlanta area?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is that where you're both from originally?
No, neither one of us. I'm from South Alabama originally, but I've lived in Atlanta for 15, going on 16 years, I think.
Nice.
And I grew up in Pennsylvania and then spent most of my life in Gainesville, Florida before I came up here about 14 years ago.
Oh. What brought each of you to Atlanta? I mean, I don't know, just leaving Alabama. Just
Yeah, it's a pretty good motivator. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was like fresh out of college, just needed a place to go, things to do. And this ended up being the place. I thought it would be very temporary, but here we are.
Mine's not nearly as glorified as that. Mine was a ex-wife got a job transfer, and we came up here, and she lasted about a year up here, and she decided to move back to Florida, and I stayed here.
Okay. There you go. Yeah, it's funny. My wife is from Montgomery, Alabama area. Yeah. And yeah, all the time my father-in-law's like, when are you going to move back? And she's like, never. It's like, that is not going to happen.
Where are you guys now?
DC.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, one capital city to the other, eh?
Yeah. I mean, something like that. Yeah. Took her a while to migrate this north, and then we lived in Philly, and we moved to Philly, and she's like, I don't know if I can handle this far north. I don't know if these are my people. And after about a year, she was like, no, I like it here.
Yeah. Philly's cool, like, man. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. It's great. Definitely no Southern charm up there. What got each of you guys into music?
Man, I don't know. I've been obsessed with music since like my entire life, I think. For whatever reason, I was just like a tiny kid that was just like magnetized, to like music and seeing people play guitar and stuff. So
nice.
I don't know. I don't know if there was a specific thing. I think I was just kind of like pre-wired for it somehow,
Yeah.
I think I have to give this one to my dad, who's not musically inclined. He can't play anything. but he would just blast the radio. He'd go to concerts all the time. And then he was just enthusiastic about, classic rock back in the day. It just kind of got me into it. And we still to this day, we play music trivia, like, hey, name this song or name this artist or name the guitarist in this band. And, it's just kind of a thing that we've always done and kind of got me going in that way. So, yeah.
Nice.
At what point, was there like good music scenes? If you spent most of your time in Gainesville, Gainesville has a pretty, now they have a pretty poppin' scene. Like, did they when you were coming up through like high school? And Joe, what about you at Alabama? I don't know.
Well, my high school, I moved to Gainesville when I was 17ish. So I was or 18. Okay. So I was out of high school, but my high school years were in Pennsylvania, small town Pennsylvania in Warren. So it's, it was not a good music scene. It was, when me and my buddies are the local band and I'm playing, sax and I got a bass player and a drummer and we're, kind of ripping off like a Morphine vibe and then working whatever. It's just it was not a good scene, but we tried, and we met other people that tried and other people that tried in smaller towns around us. And it just kind of started. And I think that actually helped me get into like the comfort or the confidence to do it. And then also the comfort that there's other people like me out there. Yeah. And we would just all get together and like, okay, you're from this town of, half an hour away from this town. We'd all just each keep sharing shows. And, we just did that throughout our high school years. And then I just moved out of town and found people that did the exact same thing. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. And next thing you know, get half a lifetime, most of a lifetime doing the same kind of thing. So it's pretty awesome. Fortunate, lucky.
I think so. This is where my story and Darren's story gets a little weird because we were actually crossing paths like over a decade before we ever knew each other because of this stuff. Because the town that I'm from in Alabama is the area that I'm from is a little bit of an anomaly because it's on the coast. Like the little town that I went to high school in is like oddly artistic. It's pretty different than the rest of Alabama, but like we were close enough to Pensacola, Florida to be able to go to shows there whenever they were happening. And there was a venue there called Sluggos that was owned by a bass player from This Bike is a Pipe Bomb. So like pretty much every band that was touring from Florida or going to Florida was stopping in Pensacola along that route somewhere. So like I was seeing Darren play in bands when I was in high school, you know what I mean? Which is kind of wild.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like it was, I don't know, it was like an odd ability to be exposed to really good music where I was from, where it shouldn't have been a thing. But it was just like, for one, there wasn't shit else to do. So like anytime there was a cool show happening in Pensacola, we would go, drive to Pensacola, maybe go surfing there before the show and then go see a show. So yeah, not a lot of other people from Alabama probably had a similar experience, but so like the whole No Idea Records catalog has always been like a really big deal to me because I got like this really cool kind of front row seat to that stuff that was happening back then.
Nice. Let's talk about Reconciler. How'd this band come together?
Well, I guess I had been playing in bands in Atlanta for a handful of years, and I'd sort of gotten just jaded with playing in bands in Atlanta because it's really hard to play in a band in Atlanta. It's a big city. There's a lot to do here, and people have a pretty narrow focus on what they like here. Like if they're going to play in a punk band in Atlanta, it better sound like 77 punk. You know what I mean? Like if you're going to play in a metal band, a lot of people love metal here. You're good. Yeah. But for like punk stuff, there's not a lot of not a lot of differing tastes here. So I really started to just focus on singer-songwriter stuff. It was easier to do stuff by myself and not have to worry about keeping a band together and stuff. And I had done that for a handful of years. Then I met Darren when he moved here and he was like, hey, if you ever get tired of doing this dumb singer-songwriter shit, we should start a band. And lo and behold, I got tired of doing that dumb singer-songwriter shit, and I hit up Derron, and I was like, hey, do you want to start that band? And then here we are. Yeah. That was 7 years ago.
Nice. Where'd the name come from?
It came from my weird brain, and it took probably 6 months for me to convince Derron that we were going to call the band that. He just couldn't come up with anything better, so eventually he had to fold. But like, I don't know. The idea is behind the name is that, like, you know, loosely the word just translates to peacemaker, you know. And I've always like tended toward writing like darker, sadder kind of songs and stuff like that. But I feel like in the act of writing that, you make something good out of it. So it's like, I kind of wanted this band to be like this machine that turned bad feelings into good feelings. And that's just like what the name Reconciler means to me, you know?
Nice. Derron, why were you opposed to the name?
I hate band names. I think there's so many cheesy, corny, terrible band names out there. And every time luckily I don't have to start bands very often. Yeah. So, but when I do, it's just painstakingly terrible to go through the process and be like, oh, isn't there a song that, or isn't there something that, or this is too close to some other thing. And it kills me. So
it's like the market's so flooded now that it's like anytime it's just like if I have a project and I'm like, oh, I have this idea for a band name, I'm just like, go on Bandcamp or Spotify. Is this taken? No. Okay. That's a good indicator. It might be safe to use, but it's like everything's fucking taken already. Yeah. It's like, what do you do? Like,
So when the good ones come up, you're like, oh man, why didn't we think of that one?
Right.
You know? So yeah,
right. And even
these days.
Yeah.
They have to.
Yeah. It's like, even if you have like a less than stellar band name, it's like you could be Butthole Surfers, right?
Yeah. But like, that's the thing about band names is like, I mean, given there are some great ones out there that all of us are jealous of, but like at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what the name is because the band is going to inform what that name means. And your band is going to decide if it's ultimately a cool band name or not. You know what I mean? Like, so, you know, like, I'm glad that I proved Derron wrong because like everybody loves the band name now. And like, you know, that's just like the first thing everybody raves about. You know, they're like, I don't even know what you sound like, but that name is something.
I'm talking to the same people, but it's okay. I believe you.
Yeah. Just done a chat with my mom and my brother.
Everybody, my mom.
Yeah.
It's great.
But the way that I was ultimately able to push the Reconciler name across the goal line is that we had a first show booked, and it started out as like what was probably going to be my last solo show, and then we just made it the first Reconciler show. But the rest of the dudes were not accepting of the name yet, so when we played that first show, it was billed as Joseph Lazary and Friends, which is way worse of a name than Reconciler. So like as soon as that show was over, like Reconciler was looking pretty good. So boom, changed it. Stickers, shirts, let's go.
It's all perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was kind of influencing you guys as you were starting to write songs? I mean, your Bandcamp page says soft edged hardcore. I've seen post hardcore, punk rock, rock and roll. Like, what it's influencing you guys, especially as you're writing, and I mean, as it's evolved.
I mean, like, what do you mean by what's influenced? Like other like bands or sounds, like, or genres?
Yeah. Like, what were your intentions and like when you started? Yeah.
I mean, I think when we started, I don't know that our intentions were super clear, other than we just wanted to like play in a good band together and make good songs. And I think after we got rolling, it became pretty clear what Derron and I were good at doing together. You know what I mean? So it's like, it just became this kind of natural current that steered us from where we started to where we are now, which has been pretty cool, actually. But like, that being said, like, you know, I think one cool thing about our band is that our influences are from all over the place. You know what I mean? Like, you know, when we're writing songs, like we're taking stuff from hardcore bands, post-hardcore bands, and being like, yo, I know this Willie Nelson song that does this cool thing right here. Watch this. Let's see if we can throw that in here, you know? So like we get to really blend stuff up, which is nice because we come from all these different backgrounds, you know? But the soft edge hardcore tagline, it's actually a thing that we stole from a negative review that Jawbreaker got in Spin Magazine back in the early 90s. Like Spin Magazine was kind of trashing on him, and they called him soft edge hardcore with an East Coast sensibility. So we just kind of stole that thing and thought like that it was actually a pretty good review, and that like I don't know, it kind of describes us pretty well, I think. But yeah,
right.
So we're big Jawbreaker fans for sure. That would be a big influence.
Yeah, I saw the Jawbreaker tattoo in the press photos.
Yeah. Yeah, there's several other influences hidden up our sleeves in those, I think.
This press release said you guys set to have a big 2020, going to go to Europe for the first time that summer. COVID obviously shuts you down. On top of that, as you come to, last year, all the shit with AF Records and Justin, like, was there a point in these last like 3-4 years where you were just like, guys, we had a good run, but like the world shuts down and then our label shit happens? Like,
yeah, man, I think the guys, we had a good run sentiment was coming up a lot, and it wasn't even just about the band. It was about life in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you're getting older, and like you have jobs and kids and responsibilities, and you're just like, I don't know, is this worth it, right? Like,
there's definitely some conscious, like, is this worth it? But I think ultimately, and every step of the way, we may have kept, somebody else may have been struggling that day, but the rest, so it definitely changed as far as who was feeling a downer at that moment. But I think
absolutely, man,
you get together and it's like, all right, no, we're good. It just sucks, but the situation sucks, but we're having fun. This is good. It's meant that we're meant to do this. We're meant to do it together, and it'll happen. So, but it's definitely the struggle's real. Has been real, more real than other times.
Dude, yeah, unreal. And like, oddly enough, today is the 5-year anniversary of our last record coming out, and our next record comes out tomorrow. Like, it's almost like stranger than fiction, but just like today, it's been hitting me extra hard of like, it's been 5 years. Like, life feels like it's been a whirlwind happening inside of a dream since that last record came out. Like, we had like a really cool year in 2019. Like, we played more shows than we've ever played. We went all over the place. It was really fun. And like, I just remember ending 2019 probably feeling better than I've ever felt in my life. Just optimistic about the future. You know what I mean? And like, learned a good lesson about feeling like that a couple months later. But
had new songs. We were writing new songs. Everything was, the flow was going. Shows, potential, travel. Yeah. It was vibing, and then and then it wasn't.
Yeah.
But so I think it. It's a reflection. I mean, it's been 5 years. There's a lot of bands that don't last 5 years.
Yeah.
And this is 5 years between our releases. So
it's unreal.
Yeah, that's weird.
Unreal.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a testament to keep it together and keep pushing through and have something new on the other side of.
Yeah, man. And I think a big thing for us is that during the craziest parts of that stuff, like, we were like re-recording songs remotely between each other, because AF was doing this like Patreon thing where like once a month we had to submit a song or reimagining or an acoustic version or something like that.
Man.
So like, Derron has a very solid studio setup where we record most of all of our stuff anyway. I have very, very minimal shit at my house, just basically enough stuff to demo stuff, but like, when we started doing that, like, that was just a reminder of like, was like, that's what I was looking forward to every month when nothing else was happening. Like, I get to get up here and like figure out how in the hell to record files that his shit is going to read and get them over to him and then like see what's going to come back out of it. You know what I mean? And it was like, so that was just like, well, I'm certainly not, going to turn away from doing this. Now we got to just lean into it and figure it out on the other side,
Yeah. Yeah. Coming out of, leaving AF, from that, how'd you guys end up working with Smartpunk?
I met Grant from Smartpunk many, many years ago now. And him and I are actually partners in a recording studio in Gainesville for a while. And so, I knew him when he was doing that endeavor. And, I recorded his bands before that. And then we partnered up for that. And then years later, we've always been in touch. He started doing Smartpunk, and obviously, that grew to be, him bringing in tons of other friends that we, also knew. And so he just built the family up, and then here it is, through the years, we always had AF, and, Stowe at AF was always, one of my all-time best buds and love him to death. And, he's the one that, he's responsible for a lot of stuff in my career this late in life. We've always talked about, like, that's our home as far as with Stowe, no matter what label he's on or working with, it's for Stowe. But anytime it's like, man, those Smartpunk dudes are awesome. They're always at the festivals. They're always this. Their bands are awesome. They're doing great things. So we always kind of knew that, like, if there was an issue or a thing or needed something, that was the call to make or to ask, and when the time came, it was, it's like, all right, guys, what are we going to do? Holy crap. And that was the one call that was the first call and the only call we needed to make. And they were stoked and we're stoked. And it's been, we're lucky as all hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is not for questions. This is a raid. This might be my blood and it might be rain. Deliver me from these walls of sovereign design. I swear I'm here for love. It's mine to stay not alive. This is not how we make a living. This is how we survive. Art for our sake, not yours this time. This is not how we make a living. This is how we thrive. Art for our sake.
Album is called Art for Our Sake. Where it's a song on the record. Why did you go with that as the title for this record, and kind of talk to me about the process of writing and the lyrical ideas?
I'm a visual artist as well. And like, that's what I spend most of my life doing, so it's like a lot of my songwriting is still through that lens. And like a lot of my visual art at this point is about the same kind of stuff. It's about really like, I think for a long time in my life, I fought to like keep my energies separate as a musician and songwriter and as an artist, and then like at some point I just had to realize that I was like fighting against myself to do those things. So I really needed to just like put it in a single pile and like realize that like a song and a painting are pretty much the same thing. It's just like different tools, you know what I mean? So this record just has this arc about like trying to shift perspective and see things in a new way, see things in a more positive way. You know what I mean? Like as an artist, just as a human being. It's like, so the whole thing is like this narrative of kind of like trying to navigate these pitfalls that will inevitably bring you down and like lead you down a path of despair, and like find a way of seeing contemporary life in a more positive way, So Art for Our Sake is like a twist on a philosophical saying that's art for art's sake. And I won't get too far in that, but like Art for Art's sake is basically a slogan that says that like art doesn't need any like real meaning or emotional attachment to be valuable, And I think that like art is just this thing that's exists to connect us with other people. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I think you can't separate humanity from that thing. You can't like take human emotion away from a thing you're making. Like you can try, but it's always in there in some way. So I just rather lean into putting as much emotion and feeling into that stuff as I possibly can, in hopes that we can like grow a stronger community. So like the Art for Our Sake is just about like, it's about trying to make a slogan for like making a community around art and music.
Yeah. Yeah. Was it difficult to write a record that had a semi-positive bent coming out of like, I don't know, lockdowns and Black Lives Matter protest and Me Too and just a whole bunch of fucking bullshit for so many years?
Well, I think there's a lot of like, I don't think it really gets to the positive part until the very, end. So there's a lot of cynicism in it. You know what I mean? So like that part was pretty easy to write because it's like, it's right in front of you everywhere you look.
All the time.
It's on every screen that you see, and there's multiple screens in front of us all the fucking time. So it's like, like, I think the record is more of like, it's like, I haven't really found the formula for like being happy yet. I'm just reaching for it. You know what I mean? And like hoping that I can like find other people that are also reaching for it. And like, so I think that is maybe more accurate. Cause like, there's a lot of negativity on the record, man, but it's like, it's just trying to keep it like, it's just like trying to keep that negativity in perspective of like, here it is. And you can see it, but like, you can also see around it if you're willing to start looking for it. If like, if you want to find a little bit of light, if you look for it, it's there,
If you want to.
If you want
you have to want to. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. It's like one of our family questions at dinner time is like, what brought you joy today? And it's like, today was an absolute shit day, but like, the dog like gave me kisses and that made me feel good. So like that was a bright spot in an otherwise shit day, right? So
and it's just important
like there's
to
always
those
something.
things.
Absolutely.
And you can start to build up a little stockpile of those cool things like in your mind, so that like when you do go to that place, you can like start like, you can be like, oh, but there's all these things on the other side of the scale that I have stocked up as well. It's like, that's just what you have to do,
That's awesome.
What was inspiring you as you created this album artwork?
It's an ongoing series that I have that's just like, it's really of like trying to like paint my way through that same journey that the record is. It's like trying to like find some positive perspective. You know what I mean? Like I feel like the amount of information that's flying at us 24 hours a day now is just absolute chaos. And I'm pretty like sensitive to stimulation, you know what I mean? And then like you realize like how much stimulation that we're experiencing all the fucking time. And like, so in these paintings, they're just like, the references come from all over. They're like from photos I've taken from travels or whatever. They're like images from art history. They're like things from advertisements. And they're just like, and I'm just kind of trying to stack these images up together and build a new composition because like, that's the way we experience life, I'm looking at you guys on a screen. I could just as easily also have my phone out scrolling through Instagram right now while there's a movie playing over here. There's cars driving by playing music. My dog is barking out there. And it's like all these things sort of melt together. You know what I mean? So I'm just like, I'm trying to let them melt together in like a beautiful way rather than just like a chaotic, ugly way. And that's what those paintings are,
Nice. Album's out tomorrow, 5 years in the making. What does the rest of this year look like? Sort of 5 years. Some speed bumps along the way.
I'm just like picturing the comment sections lighting up like it took 5 years for this.
Maybe you should take 10 on the next one, guys.
Oh, jeez. You got a couple UK shows I saw on your either Bandcamp page or website. What's the rest of this year look like? Everybody, we're all getting older. We have jobs and responsibilities that we didn't have before.
Yeah, so we have a release show locally here in Atlanta next Friday, a week from today at the Earl, which is our favorite venue in the Southeast, one of our favorite venues ever to play. So we're stoked to be there. We're playing in Birmingham the next night after that. And then we leave mid-March to go to Europe with our buddies New Junk City that are also from here. And we're doing about 12 shows across Europe and into the UK that'll end at Manchester Punk Fest.
If this is the end, I don't regret most of it. If this is the end, I don't regret most of it. If this is the end, I don't regret most of it. If this is the end, I don't regret most of it. It's a salutation that can bring you to your aching knees. It's an explanation that can set you free.
5 years to make. I hope you spend 5 years listening to it because it took a lot of time and effort. So put some time into listening to it because we put a lot of time into making it. And it comes out tomorrow. I don't know when this thing is going to go out, but tomorrow is February 2nd in our
the album is out now. Let's just say the album is out right now.
It's out right now.
Now. You can listen to it right now.
You can. You actually can because it's streaming a day early on Punk Rock Theory, I think. So whenever you exist in whatever timeline, it's out right now. Give it a listen.
Yeah. It's got to be a frustrating thing. It's one of the most frustrating things about making music now is you put time and effort into, this is 13 songs and it's just like, just hoping somebody listens to all of it and gives it like a fair shake. It's just like, it's longer than a TikTok. So please listen to it.
Yeah. We'll take what we can get, I guess. If you just do the 10-second clips from the reels, I guess, we'll take it.
We go round and round again. We go round and round again. When we go round and round again.
Thanks for listening to As the Story Grows. Our intro music was written and composed by Jeremy Hunt. The As the Story Grows theme is by Bob Nana. If you like what you hear, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and give us a rating and review. If you'd like to support the show financially, you can join us at patreon.com/asthestorygrows. Be a part of our community and join the ongoing conversation over on Discord. If you enjoy this episode, share it on social media with your friends. Much appreciated, and thanks for listening.
I never felt so young and alive as when I'm diving into a tune. And now I'm learning as I listen along, and the wheels are turning, and I started a song. One good word and I'm gone. Oh, as the story grows, the more I want to know, the more I want to show you. As the story grows, as the story grows. You can create something lasting and great, something passionate and real. And I'll bring in my own good feelings, I'll sing it with meaning. Let's just attack it and never look back. It's wild and fantastic. All together at full power, we're so much better.